company day to day, we have about 75 people. We are an online digital imitation business. On a day to day basis, key things that I think about is what is our P&L? What is our profit and loss statement? How much revenue do we make today? And how much more can we make tomorrow, the next year, and in 5 years? It's kind of our guiding light. And on top of revenue, what's on my mind as well is how profitable can we be in the future? So those things are very important from a financial standpoint. From a strategic standpoint, what I think about is how can we be durable and defensible so our competitors or new entrants don't take our position, so that our financials are ever long lasting. So those are things I think about day to day. And I think thinking about those things sets the stage for how I start organizing the company and the teams. It sets the stage for what kind of leaders you need in every single department, from technology to product to marketing to creative. It also sets the stage for what we call our roadmap, which is a fancy way to say our plan for the year of how we achieve those financial goals. And then everyone is aligned to drive towards that roadmap and those financial goals. So that's more or less my day to day. And now, when I get into work, I check in on every single team and department to see how we're marching to those financial goals.
I've always wondered about these kinds of jobs, especially being the president of Evite, for example, where you have to plan revenue and take strategic risks, as you said, competing with other competitors. What drives you to perform well and persevere through that?
I think innately, I love to solve problems for people. I think what drives my curiosity. And when you couple solving problems for people and a lot of people, and we solve problems for a lot of people at Evite, what drives me is like we're doing something that I know matters. And I'm doing it with people that I enjoy being with every day. That's the team and my team and our executive team too. And we're also, having fun and actually making money doing it. So I think it's the event of all of those things that drives me to perform well. And I look forward to every Monday actually going to work because I get to do all those things. And I think, how lucky am I to actually have a job, to actually work with people I love, to work with, to work on solving problems for a lot of users, and to get in a room and brainstorm until we figure it out. It's iterative, it's hard, but it's very rewarding at the end of the day over time.
I'm glad. I think that's all key. For other people who are interested in business, what was the best advice you've received? And what kind of advice would you want to give to other people interested in business that you wish you'd have known before?
When I was at the wonderful company, one of the owners, Linda Resnick, she's the one who done a lot of amazing things with Palm Wonderful and Fuji. She actually said to me, always ask the question, even if you're in a room where you feel intimidated. Maybe you're the minority woman and everyone's a man, and you're afraid to ask the question. Always don't be afraid to ask the question. I always remember that advice because it's so true. A lot of people would assume that someone said something was right, so they leave the room thinking, oh, that's right, even though in your gut you know it's wrong. So I think it's just like believe in what your instincts tell you and what you don't know. You want to be curious of asking that question or driving to the right answer. I'll never forget that. And having said that, the second part of your question, what do I wish people have known before? I mean, I'm so happy you're doing this podcast for your peers. I wish more and more high school kids or college kids even prior to getting into their first job would really try to understand what is it that people do from a day-to-day basis. And I say that because I hear a lot of kids say, I want to be a doctor or I want to be a lawyer. And so many of my friends, once they get into it, didn't realize what the day to day meant. And I didn't either, especially coming from an immigrant family and background. We just didn't have that culture. So now that I'm in the workforce for over, 25 years, I wish more kids would explore all the options out there. And there's so many today, and not stick with the classic career options because I wish someone, what's really emerged with Silicon Valley and the internet space is a lot of this product role. At Evite, we're led by the product team. I am the chief product officer still, as well as the president. But I find like that role has been unexplored by so many young kids. It's relatively new, but it's the future too, because all things are tech driven. And I'm sure I'm not going to think of all of them, but I'm sure there's a ton of other careers that are unexplored by many people. And the earlier you get to explore them and know them, the better you are because you don't want to make too many pivots in your career, even though I do think it's okay. But the earlier you could actually do the research beforehand, the better off you are because you'll actually be able to excel more because you're going to go deeper into it.
Thank you so much, Miss Fo. Growing up, my parents always told me that being an adult is nothing like being a kid, and I had a lot to learn. But I do hope that with this podcast, it has some effect on how students like me will perceive the careers that they want to explore. Through this episode, we've learned a lot about your journey, but all in all, what's the one motto or slogan you want our audience to take away from this episode?
I want every high school student out there to really stay curious and be curious on everything. I mean, even today, I'm a very active reader of books. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot of articles. It's something I enjoy, but I'm also recognizing too, how I mentioned earlier, the learning doesn't stop. When people stop learning after college because the class officially was done, is when they don't progress in their career. So everybody should stay curious, whether or not you're in school officially.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. If you enjoyed it, share it with a friend and follow us on Instagram and wherever you get your podcasts. This is Sarah Tran, and I'll see you on the next episode of Careers.